The Disappearance of the Sodder Children. I am your host, Denzel Jackson. West Virginia, 1945. High in the Appalachian foothills, the small town of Fayetteville rested beneath a crisp, starry sky on Christmas Eve. Inside the Sodder family's cozy farmhouse, warm light spilled through the windows as George and Jennie Sodder gathered with their 10 children, sharing holiday laughter. Neighbors recalled the house brimming with the smells of home cooking and the sounds of music, simple pleasures that would soon be torn apart by an unimaginable tragedy. Shortly after midnight, the flicker of Christmas lights gave way to panic when flames suddenly erupted. By the time anyone realized the danger, fire had already consumed much of the wooden structure. George and Jennie scrambled to save their family. In the frantic moments that followed, they and 4 of the children escaped into the frosty night air, left shivering on the lawn. 5 children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, never emerged. Initially, local officials declared the blaze an accident, blaming faulty wiring. But from the start, the Sodders noticed unsettling clues that challenged the official story. For one, their telephone line had been severed, deliberately it seemed, and the family's ladder, which typically leaned against the side of the house, had vanished without a trace. When George tried to drive his trucks close to the burning home to climb onto the roof, both vehicles mysteriously refused to start, despite having worked perfectly the day before. The strangest detail of all emerged as investigators sifted through the rubble. No remains were ever found. Not a bone fragment, not a scrap of clothing. Nothing that could confirm the children had perished in the fire. It was as though they had vanished into thin air. Neighbors spoke of seeing a suspicious figure lurking around the property in the days prior, while others claimed to have spotted a car speeding away from the Sodder home that very night. A local woman swore she glimpsed the children peering from the back seat of an unknown vehicle. Days later, another witness in Charleston insisted she saw them in a motel lobby, looking anxious and out of place. Rumors swirled through the winding mountain roads of Fayetteville. Whispers about kidnapping, revenge, or even political motives circulated. George Sodder was an Italian immigrant who had publicly criticized Mussolini, which some believed might have earned him enemies. The local sheriff's department, overwhelmed by the scope of the mystery, conducted interviews and examined the scene. But with no concrete evidence or credible leads, the case slipped into the realm of speculation. Unwilling to accept the grim official verdict, George and Jennie poured their lives into uncovering the truth. They posted a giant billboard along Route 16, featuring photos of their missing children and an impassioned plea for information. They traveled across the state, following every rumor, no matter how far-fetched, visiting roadside diners, knocking on motel doors, and speaking to anyone who might shed light on the children's fate. Over the years, the Sodders received cryptic letters and unconfirmed sightings, each igniting a fresh wave of hope that their children might still be alive. Yet despite their relentless efforts, the disappearance remained unsolved. Investigators came and went, each baffled by the puzzle. The case grew into a legend within the hollows of West Virginia, a tale told in hushed tones around dinner tables and in small-town cafes. How could 5 children vanish without a trace on Christmas Eve? Were they abducted under cover of the blaze? Or did a cruel twist of fate destroy all evidence? As decades passed, the billboard weathered under sun and storm, but George and Jennie's resolve never wavered. Though leads grew cold and official interest waned, the Sodder family's unanswered questions lingered like the haunting echo of a distant train whistle in the Appalachian night. Today, the story of the Sodder children endures as one of the most confounding true crime mysteries in American history. It remains an unsettling reminder of how quickly the warmth of home can transform into a nightmare, and how, in the shadowed corners of even the quietest towns, some secrets refuse to be laid to rest.